Loading program, Trekommendations.
Hello and welcome to Trekommendations, a Star Trek podcast that helps you find more wonderful Star Trek content. And to help me do that, I always bring on a special guest to share something they think could be worthy of your time. Joining me on the show today from the Captain's Quadrant podcast, it's Joe Dove.
Hello.
Joe, what a peaceful name you have. Dove.
Yeah, it's fun because it's my real name just translated in English. I'm not as creative as people think.
No.
Man, what a blast to be here. I am the co-host of the Captain's Quadrant. We are a weekly live YouTube podcast. So that means we're also on the ether as the audio podcast as well. You know, on all the fun streams. And myself, Jason Roy Gaston, and sometimes VHS Jace dive into wonderful things or terrible Star Trek in the Agony booth. A lot of fun, a lot of debates now because we've passed the really bad stuff. And now we're just trying to bear well, I don't like this, but you like it. So now we argue. Yay.
And when you say we've passed the really bad stuff, that's not just you guys reviewing Starfleet Academy, is it? That's
no, I didn't mind Starfleet Academy. Jace, on the other hand, from Australia, couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
he
had opinions.
He had a lot of opinions. So much so he goes, I'm doing my own thing, and I'm going to give it in. And rah, rah. I was like, okay. So, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, you have a Star Trek podcast, so we're going to assume you like Star Trek. However, we still have to calibrate you. So we've got some questions.
Calibrating.
So I've decided this is now going to be the default first calibration question for everybody going forward, which is your favorite Star Trek show?
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And not just because it was one of the best ensemble casts that I can recall, no disrespect to any of the other Treks, but there was so much to like the espionage, and then we had the full-fledged war. And then we had this species that could imitate anything perfectly. It was just so many layers of incredible sci-fi that I just couldn't get enough of it. And I still watch it today. I'll go back and Tubi, and boom, there I go.
Yeah, I keep thinking time and again, like, oh, maybe I should get my son to start watching this one. But we've started TNG. So like we're going to start TNG, okay. So we're almost, we're making our way through season 1, and I'm just like, as much as I know, I love DS9, and I think like I'm already just thinking the pilot, having to explain why Sisko hates Picard and that whole thing. It's like, oh, that would be so much better. That will feel so much better when it's earned, when he's got there, when he's met Locutus of Borg, when he understands what's going on, and then so. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. It's there. I definitely think I'm going to do all of TNG, then Deep Space Nine. With them.
That successionally makes sense. It's like Enterprise, you can do whenever because it's a prequel. So that I always felt like you could do like, Enterprise, TOS. Like if you do it in sequential order, it's like Enterprise, TOS, TNG. And then
you got to start throwing in new Trek now and again.
And
depending on what else comes out and what they put in.
Right. So you could do like half of Discovery and then stop and then finish Deep Space Nine and Voyager and then go into the other half.
And then you go all the way through the rest of Discovery and you stop before the final episode and you're like, well, now we have to watch Academy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So it's like it's all. That's what I like about. They have a massive universe, and there's some things that, you and I will talk about, I'm sure, in the future. Mm-hmm. Like we have opportunities to fill in gaps because we have the Enterprise B, which was the longest serving ship of the Enterprises. It served, I think, double the time of the Enterprise E, which was longer than the D, so there's all these like missing elements. And then the short-lived C, that would be a great, maybe even a short Trek, they could do so much with it.
Yeah. We barely knew her.
We barely knew it. She was out in like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. And then, and then we can bring back Tasha. We can see what's going on there. Oh, there's so much that can happen, but
there's so much.
We must. So Deep Space Nine is your favorite. Mm-hmm. It's a very respectable call and a very. That's not an unusual one to hear people say this is the one I absolutely love. So I think you're in good company there. But I'm going to open it up to all of Star Trek. I imagine Deep Space Nine will feature again in this. But
Mhm.
who are your top 3 characters in Star Trek?
Oh, that's a great one. No particular order, right?
I'm gonna
Or
let
do I
you
got to?
choose however you
Yeah.
want. You can, yeah.
All right.
If you
All
don't
right.
want
I'll
to
do.
hurt anybody's feelings, then we can say no particular order.
I met so many of them too. So now, I think that main character wise, my favorite captain is always going to be Cisco. But then, interestingly enough, I really love the character of Data. I find that to be one of the most kind of evolving characters because he gets his emotional chip, and then he has this great arc throughout not only a TV show but a series of movies. So I really respect what they did, and then they brought him back to TV to kind of finish off the plot that they didn't finish because of Nemesis. And I'm going to be that guy and mention that I have a signed copy of Nemesis. I love Nemesis. I will die on that hill forever. So yeah,
I
it's not a
watched
perfect film.
Nemesis a month ago, maybe.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
yeah. You see, I got so emotional about saying that I said, "Coffee, you
So
saw that, right?" And that's
okay.
not because I've been sick, not at all. I definitely think it's again, it's one of those like you react immediately, and then you give something time, and you go back to it, and you're like, you know what? There's I really this will come up later because spoilers. I do know what you're going to mention as your recommendation, but this will come up later. But I love like the Romulans,
Yes.
and when they feature in things, I think it's great, and I have strong feelings about what happened to
Mhm.
the Romulans, and their absence from a lot of treks since
Right.
it's because of events that happened to their planet. Um,
Right.
so so yeah, like I think it's interesting, and I think there were interesting things explored in Nemesis. That being,
Yeah. For
was
sure.
it perfect? No, but
No,
and this is another theme as well. They had good actors. I mean,
they had great actors. Ron
you
Perlman was in it.
you get great
Tom
people.
Hardy. Yeah, he became a megastar. Like
Yeah.
unbelievable.
There
Yeah.
seems to be a theme as well with some Star Trek movies that you get some really great actors in there, and I just sometimes wish they were utilized better, or we got to know more of them or see them again in other things. Anyway, like
Yeah.
again, that might come up.
Mary Abraham, right?
Okay, so we got Data, we've got Cisco.
Cisco Data, and it's a tie. I know it's cheap, but it's Uhura and Garrick. I think Uhura has the most impact, especially
Yeah.
for me as a biracial person, because it opened up the doorways in America for interracial coupling, which ultimately probably led to me in an inadvertent way. And
It's a bold claim, but yep, have it. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll take it. And of course, my grandfather on my mother's side, who is African American, he put Star Trek on her face because we had representation in her. So it was like, hey, you see that woman? That's me. I'm that way in my job. I am the lieutenant of police, and we're one of the only people in the room in certain situations, certain situations. So your dad has a big role. And it's not just I'm the black character that's off to the side, because we have like stereotypical type of
Yeah.
positions in pop culture that's kind of terrible. And this one was a positive one that really reflected the life of an African American person in reality, instead of what they portrayed us in that time, which is the 60s. It was not great.
Yeah.
Garrick, because I love me some 007, and we have a Taylor spy, and I met him in person twice and interviewed him on the stage. Andrew Robinson, that is. He was Hellraiser. He was in Chucky. He's got such a he was the killer in the Clint Eastwood's first big food, Dirty Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So much depth to that character, but like the way he portrayed the character, even in the mirror universe, he was having so much fun. And then he has this duality where no, I'm not I'm just a tailor. I'm not doing anything. But it turns out, yeah, no, I'm totally a spy. And my dad was the head of the entire spy network for Cardassian. I was like, whoa, so much depth. And that's what I like with characters with more depth, because you had Cisco, who didn't want to do the job because his wife was killed and he didn't care about Bajorans. He was kind of pissed with the whole Borg thing, and he wanted to raise his son kind of close to where he knew everything. and then he becomes the emissary of the prophets. He has this whole like arc that he becomes a god in the end. So I just really love these characters that have more to them, like an onion, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have your surface level about, okay, yeah, he's the captain. Yeah, he's the android lieutenant. Yeah, he's the tailor. But there's more to them than just, I'm this. Like, I love Kirk, but Kirk's one dimensional. I'm the captain. Da, 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 da. Where Cisco's like, I'm the captain, but I'm also an emissary. I don't want to be here. I've got this reluctant position. And then, you know, you've got Data, who's, I want to be human, but I'm an android and I'm unstoppable. But I also just kind of want to chill with everybody and laugh and learn about these things. I want to become more than what I am. And that's what I love about Star Trek and these characters. So,
yeah, that's kind of what I feel we're hurting from, or we're missing now with modern Star Trek, due to the format of being these short seasons and few episodes, and even few seasons of episodes, because you don't have the time to have that many layers to a character, because it's like, well, we just can't explore that. We just have we don't have the time, and it is a shame, and it's now no surprise that you're like, oh, Deep Space Nine is my favorite, where they really just get to hang out and explore backstory of every character in detail. I did, and I'm glad I didn't interrupt, because when you were telling quite a touching, very serious story, I was almost thinking, oh, you're about to switch, because you were like, oh, obviously Uhura, because of she opened the doors and this and that. And then when you said, and then my grandfather, I was just assuming because that was a tailor or a spy, and that's why I like the character. But no, that led into the rest of the conversations. I thought, well done, Jason. You bit your tongue. You didn't interrupt, and we got some good content out of that. They're great answers. They're great answers, because they're not just I like this character because they're cool. They were like, I like this character because, and here's a whole depth of reasoning, both in universe and in the real world. Like, which is that nice balance. It's funny, the thing about Data, if he's like this unstoppable android, it's so funny because we don't, like, you forget that he could just take everyone if he wanted to. He just and it's funny, I mentioned it on the last episode, so you won't have heard this yet because of the magic of recording and editing and things like that. But
well, I got something to look forward to.
The episode that comes out for you in the future, but for other people will have been the episode before this one. I mentioned that Measure of a Man is like one of my favorite episodes of all Star Trek. And then I found out that on Trekking Up North, they were reviewing that episode. So day of recording, I will be on their show tonight live, as we will be discussing Measure of a Man, because
we'll tell Science Officer Sonois and Captain Goodwill I said honk. Those happen to be good friends of mine, and I just want a special shout out to Goodwill, because he just got a new job and I think he's very happy with it. So
yes,
congrats to you, my friend.
And I think he is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And what a shame that all of this will be cut and edited on the editing.
Just so you know, that was nice of you to say. I'm just going to clip it and send it to them directly.
But yeah, I was rewatching the episode today, and like in the courtroom, and they're talking about like how intelligent he is, and he's like bending these bars and stuff, and you're like, this guy, he could just, he's a soft-spoken android, but man, he could go Terminator if he wanted to.
One of the episodes that I love is when he takes over the ship. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But he like can mimic the voices of everybody and just rickshaw. Oh, it was the one where his brother like recalled him, or his dad recalled him, and he just took over the ship.
Yeah.
It was like, oh snap. And he just like, Worf was like, all right, Commander Data, you better stop. And Data just went crunch. He was like over, So yeah, Data is no joke. Love Data.
There we go. Okay. Final question for you. What would be the piece of technology or advancement in technology from Star Trek that you would most like to see realized?
Oh, okay. So there's two things that everything is more than one with me. I don't know if you caught that.
Can't wait to see how many recommendations you bring.
Yeah. Well, I've got the one for today. And then later on, no. As a person that grew up in poverty due to the passing of said grandfather and life's changes, I would want the replicator in technology, because that way we wouldn't have to worry about, you know, government assistance and all these other issues that come up in the world. We would just get straight, hey, you're hungry? Boop. There you got food. You have nourishment, you have nutrients, and it's a sustainable machine that'll do it. Now, personally, I want one of those transporters. I just want to, I got to go to California. Sure, it might not be me and it might be a clone of me, but I don't care. I can go there. You know, my conscience is in there. I'm good.
Okay. They're good answers. I was curious because I think sure replicators come up before, maybe transporter as well. They're very they're very usual answers because they're like, yeah, they would be great. They would be great. I was curious with you if there was because I was thinking about it the other day. I was listening to your podcast and you brought up something you're lacking that causes trouble for food that you choose to eat and things like that.
Oh yes, my severe allergies. Yeah, hypo sprays would be amazing because I don't have to take all this stuff that I gotta take.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about in the voyage home, the pill that McCoy gives that like she grows a kidney, and I was thinking, I wonder if they have one for like a gallbladder.
Wow, you really watch this. That's amazing. Yeah. I don't have a gallbladder, and I would love to eat fatty foods and just go and get rid of the stone that took it down out. That'd be amazing.
So I thought maybe that's a piece of technology you'd like. I don't know if it's, you know, medical technology, advancements in medicine. I don't know. Anyway, bit of fun. Just
absolutely.
Okay. I guess it's time to go to Red Alert.
Ooh.
So the clock is on the screen. I hope you can see that there. Joe Dove, please, in 60 seconds or less, could you tell us what is your Trekommendation and why you've brought it to the show?
All right. My Trekommendation is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities in all of Star Trek. And that is bridging the world between the Next Generation and the restart of the entire universe and franchise in 2009. And that is none other than Star Trek Countdown. This could have been an opening to probably would have made Star Trek 2009 an even better movie, because we would have had a passing of the torch from the TNG cast into the new cast that we all know and love and wish we would have gotten a fourth movie. I am talking about Star Trek Countdown because this is an incredible opportunity to see how the red matter came up to be. We've got a lot of little touches into all the different universes from TNG to the modern Trek. And we've got nods to Star Trek Online because of the uniforms. There's so many layers. There's so much depth. And if you want to know why Picard got promoted and put there, this is explaining why, and the more time with Spock, which was desperately needed.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
I'm good with that.
Wow, you're happy with that, are you?
I am.
Any edits? No. Perfect. No. Right. Let's get rid of that clock. So, yeah, you mentioned this to me, and I made sure to grab it, to have it.
Yeah, I couldn't find mine. I know I have it somewhere. But
Countdown.
What you don't see is I have a huge comic book wall of a ton of comics that I have. I used to have 5,000. I'm down to like 2,200. And I had it, and I'm pretty sure it's there somewhere. And I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
but I did find the Nemesis.
But you found it, yeah. I think I even remember like when I bought this. It's one of those. I lived in Italy for many years, so I would like take advantage of coming back to the UK from time to time, and I remember like grabbing it one day in a bookshop and be like, "Oh, take that." So that was something I can read in English. Incredible, great. Okay, so I have read this. But what I like is you're pitching this not just as here's a comic book you should read, but like they should have done something visual with this. Well, I mean, a comic book is visual to a degree, but this should have been on the screen. That's basically your point, right?
Yes.
I guess my first question, though, before we go to any of that, would be, where do you stand on the rebooted movie franchise, the 2009 movies?
You're going to find that I'm one of those guys that if it says Star Trek, I'm going to be there. So it's a franchise that has inspired so many people that I know, so many people that have done things in science and in technology. Like you talked about technology that I think what should exist in the real world. We've seen a lot of technology that was inspired that lives in our real world, like this laptop that we're filming this on, and cell phones from the old school replicators, or more likely the when we used to have those like almost walkie talkies from Sprint.
Yeah.
You would just go, boop, boop, hey, so and so. That's something we've all experienced. So that's a definite pitch for me.
Yeah. I like how you're saying, like, I like it because it's Star Trek. I will be defensive before I even admit to that I like it from Star Trek, because I feel people will come for me. No, I'm with you in that, I like Star Trek was gone. It was gone for a long time.
Yeah.
And this, got it back. And I am on record, surely on record on this podcast, and pretty much any podcast I've ever been on, of saying I don't like J.J. Abrams. Like, as a,
I don't like his filming style. I'm like half of the movie I'm going, oh, put the light screen,
So that like there's that aspect of it. It's like, I don't like him, and I generally don't like a lot of his ideas. This is what gets, like, the whole mystery box thing.
Yeah.
In the bin. I will get on my soapbox any opportunity to say, like, not giving me information is not a mystery box.
Yeah.
It's lazy writing.
Yep.
Like, and also half the time I don't believe, like, it's a mystery box, but it's empty because you don't have the answer inside. You've not made a mystery, sealed it up for us to discover later. You're like, oh, it'll be a mystery and we'll figure it out. And then you give people a couple of years to speculate, come up with the best ideas, and now unless your thing is better than what they've thought about, you're in trouble. So I don't like any of that. However, I do think, and this touches on Countdown and your comic, this was the best solution, and one that I think they should have used for all new Trek. Like this, you just go back in time and you change one element, and it's not a, it's pretty big, but it's not like this huge universe shattering element. It's one thing, but it just gives you this get out of jail free card anytime someone is like, oh, it doesn't fit continuity.
Right.
Like, well, there were ripples. So like all the kind of new Trek stuff that comes across, if it was all set in that like rippled universe, you're like, well, why don't these people look like this? Or why is this happening? Well, it's close, but it's slightly different.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really kind of poetic way to reboot the franchise. It was a bit like the DC Comics kind of, will give a justification in universe as to why we've made changes in comics, and not just the Marvel approach of
it is what it is.
New.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I love that you mentioned DC Comics, because one of the things that I always kind of look to when I explain, hey, you're going to have to kind of do this because, William Shatner is going to live forever, though he's trying. And the other cast members have unfortunately left our mortal coil, but you have to recast this because it's like Batman. You don't have to do it as frequent, but you're going to have to kind of do it because people are going to age out, and then you can't tell these stories if you want to continuously use Kirk, Spock, or Chekhov and such and crew.
I also have a thought about recasting, which is it's kind of a sad thought to have, because it's kind of come out of necessity, I guess. But there's this whole argument often about, you can't separate, can you separate the art from the artist, and so on and so forth. And it's like, people go out in their lives and do things that are controversial, and now suddenly we're not allowed to enjoy the music they make, or the films that they're in, or the art that they produce, because we discover something about the person. And I actually think the beauty of having characters be recast often is it protects the character, the fictional character, because you're like, you can't say, I don't like Spock because he's played by a bad guy, because you're like, well, who? He's been played. Who are we talking about? Are you talking about Leonard Nimoy? Are we talking about Ethan Peck? Are we talking like which person? Because Spock is a character who has been portrayed by multiple people.
Yep.
Whereas if you've got a character that's one person and they are that character, if that person goes out and does something, it's hard to like the character.
That's a great point too. Yeah.
So I actually think, guys, if we can hurry up and and recast a lot of people often, then
if we could recast Hulk Hogan, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Okay, good. So we're on board with that.
Mhm.
What would you have liked to have seen them do? Well, first of all, let's just talk about the comic for a second.
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
I love this because it was, why weren't we mentioning the TNG era characters? Because yes, I know my beloved Nemesis didn't do that great in the box office, but they still deserved their moment to pass the torch
Mhm.
to me. And this was a great way to kind of fill them in, because you've got Ambassador Picard to becoming promoted and becoming the um, ambassador to Vulcan, and trying to work with the Romulans to kind of stop the destruction that they're henceforth facing. And you also got the proper data resurrection, because hey, we figured out how to rewire B4 to absorb the data technology. So now data can age, and it makes sense that he's older, because the B4 module looked like data was in Nemesis, which was the older version of,
Yeah.
Brett Spiner, the actor. So I felt like these things kind of worked and molded it to a good point where everything would have made sense.
Mhm.
And again, we had more Leonard Nimoy, because he was heavily involved in Spock, excuse me, was heavily involved in setting the course straight for developing the ship and the method and by which to help the situation to save the Romulans. And of course, things go awry, and you get the very bad guy who
Yeah.
I love in Nero. I thought Eric did a phenomenal job as a villain. And
Yeah.
even in the comic, you got a little bit more backstory in there. And it's a short 4 series comic that you
Yeah.
can get in a trade paperback. And
As I have.
yeah, as I do too now.
Yeah.
At the time, I had like had each individually, because I used to go to a comic book store that's not there anymore in New York. And unfortunately, like most comic book stores have fallen. But there's a couple left. And every time I tried to get, because I ended up selling them later on because they were valuable for a certain amount of time. Like comic books is like the stock market.
Right.
You might have one and all of a sudden it's worth like a ton of money really quick. And then if you don't sell it at the time, it's no longer worth anything. So
Yeah.
you're like, yeah. So I caught it right in like a curve. I ended up selling all 4 for like $400, like $100 each,
Nice.
because like they were coming up with the sequel. It was the Into Darkness. I sold them in that time, and it just like spiked.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I was like,
That's
perfect.
crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't touch on anything that appears in Into Darkness anyway, but great. Well done.
Yeah,
Profited from
I don't know why. It was
from
just
people being like,
it
"Oh,
was
it's Star
back,
Trek." Um,
But I think what happened was like the internet and the world was like, there's a prequel to '09, and I think that's why
yeah.
like people had heard, like didn't really know about the comic, and then people were talking about it when Into Darkness came out. And I think that humming of the internet kind of made it come up again in value, because people were trying to grab it.
Do you think because I think you're right, like I mean, I didn't seek it out. I remember that just literally seeing it like, "Oh, hold on. Like, what's this? Oh, great. This covers like this portion. It explains how, the before the movie. Great." I'm kind of wondering if there'd been more push on that, whether people would have been more accepting of the movie.
I
Like,
think so. I
you
think you
know,
would have, because TNG was so beloved. I think
mhm,
that this would have been a great um I don't want to say excuse, that's not the right word, but this would have been a great, love note to those
yeah,
TNG fans that wanted a little bit more but were disappointed in Nemesis, if that was the case for them, or wanted a little bit more and were disappointed in Insurrection, and that's why they didn't go see Nemesis. Because if you look at both movies, though people didn't like how everything came to pass in Nemesis, it looked really good
yeah.
compared to Insurrection, which didn't look as good because of budgetary cuts,
Mhm.
but was a well directed movie, even though it seemed like a long episode.
I think as well, it's interesting when you look at like the time frame and where things happened and then what people are saying around those times. So you had Enterprise come out and
Hmm.
it was a bit like, particularly the first couple of seasons before it picked up and people started to enjoy it more from season sort of 3 onwards. But it was that kind of, why are we going back? Like, can't we go forward? Can't we see what's next? Why a prequel?
Yeah,
And then the next thing is like going back again.
yeah.
You're like, hold on.
How about a
It's
reboot?
like,
You know,
like, so you've got all these people that love, as you said, like love TNG, DS9, Voyager were maybe hoping for a team-up movie of some sorts. Maybe we're going to get some DS9 characters and maybe some Voyager characters who are now back in the Alpha Quadrant, and we're going to do something with all of them. And it's like, no, we're going back to Kirk. And you're like,
yeah.
Whereas if it had been like, no, actually, this is a continuation, but it like loops back, and look,
Right.
here's what happens, and this is why it loops back, and now we're moving forward again, but with this new universe. Yeah, like obviously, people that want stuff set post TNG, that's not the solution, but at least it's acknowledged. Like,
Right.
yeah, look,
That's what I'm saying. I think you would have had more. Like, it was a successful movie. Out of the, I think Into Darkness is the biggest box office grab when it comes to numbers and money, but the first one really was well received. It's the highest reception for the anything modern Trek, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I'm sure your fans will be like, Joe's wrong, but if I'm not, I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the few fans that will
that
would acknowledge that they are fans, they're probably too polite and kind and nice to dare call anybody out. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we talked about like good actors. So you got Eric Bana, and you're like, right, like he's amazing, but like he's so kind of, you know, like why are they so like, okay, your planet got destroyed, why are you blaming Spock? Like it's not clear. It just seems a little bit like whereas I feel this gives you so much more backstory onto like, okay, this is what, you know, he really put his faith in, because it's kind of like, look, this is going to happen, and this one guy had an idea that might solve it. Oh, and it didn't work out. Oh, then I blame him. And you'd be like, why do you blame him? That doesn't make sense. Like, he was the only person trying to stop it. Why don't you blame the other people? But then if you see the comic, you'll be like, okay, he was there. This is why he feels this way, sort of thing. So it's not, it would have been nice to see. I'd have liked to have seen a pre-Nemesis, Nemesis, what am I talking about? Pre-09 version of Nero, and then have him, like how he appears in the comic, and then see him later. Even if it had been a flashback, I would have been happy with that.
I mean, they tried to do a flashback with it.
It was weird. It was just like
so
it was so like somebody drunk watching something. It was like kind of cutting between. No, I didn't like that.
No, I think that if the intro, instead of doing, even though we got the launching of the career of Chris Helmsworth, if they would have done that TNG nod instead of, or right after, instead of going into like, okay, now this is what's changed. Here we have young Kirk, and then he's, you know, kind of a punk, and then he becomes a Starfleet officer, and he's like, I'll do it in a year, you know. Instead of all of that, and you went and got that TNG epilogue, prologue, so to speak, then I think it would have been this countdown. If they turned that into film, it would have not only like really hyped up the movie even more, because it's like, oh, cool, we could see Picard in it again. But I also think I really want more Spock, Leonard Nimoy, because of his illness at the time. He had COPD, I believe. And that's an illness that my father has. And it is tough to live with. So just having more screen time of him would have been a really nice moment. Even though I know they were really focusing on, look, it's new, it's shiny, and look at all these young faces. Woo! Yeah. But this comic really got into, this is what Spock's plan was. This is his relationship that we missed out on, because he had he had more dialogue with Nero and Picard and everything. And then it connects back to unification a little bit, because they mentioned how long Spock was on the planet on Romulus, and why he was trying to do it. And he came out because of his attempt to reunification. So, and then ironically, these tethers actually then stick to Discovery with Navarre. Because now that these things have been taking place because of Spock and his efforts to get the reunification, this really would have been more digestible for everybody. I think it would have just really, like, instead of just being an isolated and just that little flashback, and you made that a little bit bigger, then your web net would have gotten even larger, and it would have encapsulated modern Trek, and people, I think, would have had an even more love of Navarre.
Because I do think that you know, then it does feel always like there's old Trek and new
Mhm.
Trek, and
Mhm.
they're almost like, polar opposites, and they can't kind of touch, and it's like and people react that way. It's kind of like, oh, this new thing isn't, and actually this is an example of it being blended, but because I can kind of understand, like, well, we didn't want to bring in the TNG cast because we didn't want, we wanted to make clear this was something new and it was going in a new direction, sort of thing. And you're like, but that argument falls apart as soon as you put Leonard Nimoy in, because you're like, well,
Yeah,
hold on, you've put one of the most iconic
exactly.
characters slash actors of all Star Trek in. There's no way this isn't now tied to TV Trek. So why can't we just embrace that fully and then blend them together and be like, look, this is the kind of, as you said, like this passing of the torch, or this sort of nod to the new Star Trek. I also feel, though, why are we blowing up Romulus? Like, what?
Again, not the Romulus. Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about, I mean, it's not cool that the planet got blown up, just FYI, but
This guy.
yeah, got him. The cool thing was, like, he was hunted down by Remans, Nero, I mean,
Mm,
and he was kind of smuggling in because the Romulans didn't want him to do what he was doing. They were like, nah, man, that's not gonna work because Spock's an idiot, and for Nero to be able to, like, kind of go back channel and say, hey, let's work together, and their, like I said, their built relationship would have been heavier with this betrayal of well, as Nero saw it, as a betrayal, because
mm.
not everybody survived. But the threat was actually supposed to be a lot larger. Like, the supernova was supposed to take quite a bit of the universe.
Yeah.
So it would have been like a huge thing to start off, or at least be a quick flashback for the beginning of the movie, because that you would have seen this thing take out so much, and then you're wondering, oh crap, did Picard and crew make it? You could have left that as a big cliffhanger. Wait, did they make it or not? Because it was such a huge explosion and Data and everybody, and I think that would have been like, oh my god, and then we would have never known, and people would have been like, whoa. So
Yeah.
I think that we have a clip on the Captain's Quadrant called the missed opportunity clip. I love it. It comes up and it says missed opportunity, and it's our producer in Australia. He's a brilliant man, VHS Jace. He comes up with these things. He's a genius, and I can't say enough good things about him. And he, like, hated that he did it because I played the hell out of it. It's like, that was a missed opportunity, and then the D flies by, and I'm like, that's brilliant. So I always love pushing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I mean, you leave that as like a hanging thread that you can come
Yeah.
back to at any time, and people will be wanting a
Mm-hmm.
resolution to that. And whether that
Exactly.
is in a comic, in a book, as a
Animated.
oh, talking of missed opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
I just I always feel like animated Star Trek has always been a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the animated series was what it was.
Yeah.
A product of its time very much. Like Lower Decks, as much as, Lower Decks is funny and interesting, kind of, and a bit of a love letter to fans with all the
Mm-hmm.
references. I just think you take something like the Titan, that is
Oh,
a ship that, because of the diverseness of the crew, with all the different aliens that are on that crew, it would just be such a nightmare to try and film, like, and having
yeah.
everyone in all that makeup and all of,
Right.
and I just think make something like that an animated show, but
Yeah.
like,
That's
but serious, like not a joke show, just here's something that would, oh man, that's
you
my dream
do.
Star Trek.
Yeah,
Like,
I love that too. Like, you do a 28 episode arc, one season. You don't have to do a bunch of them. Just do one season. Give you a whole big story. Reason for people to be there. Reason for people to learn about new characters.
yeah.
Fall in love with a new ship, because we really didn't get to see much of the Titan except in, like, I think 2 or 3 episodes of Lower Decks.
Hmm.
So these are just amazing opportunities that Trek can jump into, especially because most of the characters, the actors, their voices haven't changed too much. Like Picard,
Yeah.
I don't know if you notice, I'm an audiophile.
Right.
So, like, if you listen to Patrick Stewart when he's younger compared to Picard, it's like, oh, he's
Yeah.
aged. And, I get it. He's an admiral and he's older and he's supposed to be older.
Yeah.
But
There's
it's
a
almost
bit of a almost like a quiver, like
Mhm.
a tremble to his voice a little bit now
Yeah.
with A, which, you know,
Yeah,
he's old.
exactly.
That's understandable. Like
Yeah, exactly. And we still
that's
love him.
fine.
So, yeah.
But you're right. Like, you know, I'm sure Jonathan Frakes could
Yeah.
still knock out a convincing, you know,
Riker.
younger Riker,
Yeah.
if he wanted to, or you
I
know,
agree.
fix it in post, as
Yeah.
we do with everything else. You
Of
know,
course, Sulu,
turn
we
the
have
dial one way or another way, and it will make him younger or
yeah,
older. Who knows?
exactly. So
Yeah,
AI.
I mean, actually, to be honest, even if they'd done Countdown as, you know,
An
animated, I'd have been
animated?
happy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
at least something on the screen would have been
Yeah.
nice. Just because people are too lazy to read. Not the people
Yeah.
that listen to this show; they come here to learn about books and things. But you know, the general
The
audience.
general public is
Yeah.
GQ public, yeah.
No, it's I loved seeing Data captaining the Enterprise.
Yes.
You know, I like that he had like a new crew
Mhm.
that aren't. You know, I didn't recognize anybody on the crew. I don't know if you
No,
did.
because Worf leaves to, um,
Go to
be in the
Kronos.
Klingon Empire
Yeah.
because he's in the House Martok. So, he's certainly not appearing in this film, but, we're still mentioning.
Yeah.
And then Data and I'm not Data, Riker and Troy are on the Titan, so they're not there. And then Wesley's space Doctor Who,
Yeah.
as we've learned. And yeah, I just feel like this would have been such a great opportunity to get more characters and still get a proper nod because Geordi's still around.
Yeah, he is with his real
Yeah,
eyes. Yeah, I just
yeah, that's weird.
because that's the other thing is like as much as I love the old characters and the things like that, I don't need all the old like I've got the old characters, they're in the old
Mm,
shows. I
right.
I'm happy to have new characters and but just like real character like you know flesh them out as real characters. So like that when I saw that Enterprise turn up and I was like, oh, you know, Data's captain, but it's Data who's actually B4, and it's like you know this
Yeah.
interesting version of Data, and there's even a bit of dialogue about that, which is quite
Yeah.
interesting because obviously Spock's come back as well.
Yeah.
Being like we're two people that both died in movies and came back in. You know, well, one of us came back in the following movie, and the other one came back at
On
the
the
end
comic
of
book.
the same movie. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
pretty good. Um,
Right.
so that's interesting. But like, yeah, having you know, you've got Data as this kind of linchpin. Okay, he's the recognizable character on the Enterprise, and then you've got all these new characters. It's like
Yeah.
great. That's you know, that's almost what I want from a
Yeah.
new Star Trek show. Um,
Exactly.
and you know, now with mergers and people buying stuff and things like that, who knows what we're going to get? But you kind of hope that maybe, like,
Yeah.
if we don't know what we're going to get, we might as well dream big, right? I mean, like, let's get
Exactly.
a new show, something like that, where new ship, new crew, send them out on a mission, and let's just sit back and you know see what happens.
Yeah.
That's what I want. But
Yeah.
Paramount don't care about me, so
No, but they're gonna care. They're gonna care now because they realize they have so many franchises now
Mm,
available at their fingertips with the acquisition. If everything goes through, because there's also this period of, oh, hold on, you've got if leadership in the country changes, if the country survives here, uh, we do have a anti-monopoly law,
yeah,
and right now it's not going to be a problem because they're friends with everybody. But the next person to be in charge and the next FCC, the Trade Commission, they might go, whoa, wait a minute, this is way too big. You're going to have to break up because they've broken up other companies. They're talking about breaking up Google.
mm,
So, you do have an opportunity where it may split off again. And if it splinters off, then we could get
yeah.
a diverse world of opportunity.
Yeah, and when you say we, I like the idea that Captain's Quadrant and Trekommendations team up to take
Yeah.
over,
Yeah. You
but
and I
not
will get the
a bit
money.
of Paramount or whether
We'll
or
buy it
just
from
Star Trek. To
Amazon.
be honest, we just want Star Trek. You can have
Yeah.
everything
We'll buy
else.
that from you.
You know, we don't care about. Um, I couldn't remember now
Harry
what
Potter.
the. No, actually, what's
Maybe
the
you
big
do.
one
I
on
don't know.
Paramount? The one Yellowstone. Like we don't care about Yellowstone. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
have
I
that.
don't care about this.
We just want the
Yeah.
Star
We
Trek
just want
stuff.
Star Trek. I'll
Give
take
us
Ghosts. I
control.
really like that one. But
Which one?
Ghosts.
Oh yeah, I wonder what is that because you do a podcast on that?
Oh, it just so happens. But
Well,
yeah, no,
your
I just
other
love this stuff.
podcast can work out a deal with them to get that. I'm
Yeah,
not
there
coming
we
in
go.
on that one. I'm coming in with you, Captain's Quadrant, Recommendations team up to buy Star Trek. That's
There we
fine.
go. That's where we're at. Okay.
And we'll make the licenses much easier for everybody because I keep hearing about people that licensed stuff products with Star Trek that have all had their licenses sort of yanked, or yes, you can still have it if you pay 10 times the amount, and they're saying, well, guess what?
I felt bad for a lot of people. Like Valiant just shut down, Hero Within. I don't know if they shut down or if they just stopped doing Star Trek, but like I was just watching so many of these people just get hammered in various ways. I just felt terrible because I have Valiant and Hero Within coats because I could fit into the Hero Within Star Trek coat. I was like, oh, it fits my belly. But and then you have the TNG coat, which is really nice touch. It like zips up as if it was the TNG uniform, but but it zips on the side, so it still gives you that look, but it's also a coat and it keeps you warm. And I just love what they were doing with it, and it's just such a shame when these things happen. So I would like the thing to break up just so we can get reasonably priced merch.
Yeah, it breaks up and they get desperate. So like, we'll give it to you for half the price now.
Yeah, that's could happen too. Yeah.
So interesting times we live in. Very interesting. But hey, we've got 2 seasons of Strange New World and apparently another season of Academy to come. So at least that's happening.
Yeah, that's for sure happening. Anything else in the sphere, who knows? But I don't know if you're into the rumor mills or not, but the rumor is on Star Trek Day we're going to get some announcements. So we'll see. September may be a very interesting time for us.
Yeah, and obviously Star Trek Day, the anniversary of this podcast as well. So that's
oh, look at that! You were smart. Good drop time. I did it when Picard came out, so the second season.
I wasn't a plan. I'd actually planned to record an episode with somebody, and it would have come out the week after Star Trek Day, and then I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah,
hold on a second. I can do this. So
you're already thinking better than Paramount did.
Yeah,
the old Paramount.
quick record, got it done. Put it up. I was like, launch this new show on Star Trek Day. So hopefully that means I will remember when I hit a year, and I got to try and plan something big, but who knows what that will be. I mean, also theoretically, if I just count the episodes, right? There's like 2 weeks in a year. This is episode 30. So what, I've got another 22. Then that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Yeah. I mean, we did it when Picard season 2 came out, but it was in April. But we had the channel, and we grabbed it because there was a bunch of Star Trek podcasts popping out like every time we turn around. So he was like, oh, let's just get everything out, and then we won't do anything until until we take this into fruition. And when Jason and I, we were a totally different entity when we first started, because another guy brought up an idea. Oh, we're like a sanctorum of different people coming together. It's like a variety show, but we're like a spectrum of it. So I was like, oh, Spectrum Sanctorum, that works. And then that's what like he kind of built, but people couldn't spell it. So when we parted ways, Captain's Quadrant is a lot easier to spell.
I thought Trekommendations was a good name, and I think it is. The only thing is, when I look it up, like if I'm trying to find it, like to share the link on Spotify or something, and if I type in Trekommendation Spotify, Google was like, we searched recommendations on Spotify. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Don't search for recommendations.
Yeah.
I don't care about other shows. I want my one. So,
right. Yeah, no, I hear that, because when I stumbled on you with Instagram, but when I first listened to you and I tried to get Trekommendations, it kept coming out Trek Recommendations, and it put other podcasts up. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So what I need to do is
this is what I'm looking for.
I need to be such a big show now that I turn up as the first one when you
right, and then I'll recommend you these other PMs.
Okay. Man. Well, it's good to have goals. It's good to have goals. So now I know what it is. Joe, would you like to come with me to some incoming transmissions?
Absolutely.
Incoming transmission.
I have an email that I want to read. I always forget to say this at the start. I say it here, so hopefully people are still listening. But you can reach the show. You can send me an email. You can send me a message over Instagram or TikTok or anywhere else. It's Trekommendations on everything, and it's trekommendations@gmail.com if you want to send me an email. Or if you leave a review on your podcast app of choice or something like that, that would help launch me up the rankings for when people get Trek recommendations, and then I would appear near the top. So if you can do that, that will help me get closer to this goal that we've just mentioned. I have an email, which is another thing you can do, is what this person has done. I think these would be some good emails that would help this show as well. So this is an email from a former guest, June. I've just remembered that we signed off with a different name on here, but June, who had recommended the town of Vulcan in Canada.
Oh, yep.
She sent me
that was a great episode and a great recommendation for sure.
Yeah. Well, I won't be popping over anytime soon, but if I ever make it over to Canada, then I'll be there, and I'll play the episode while I'm walking around the town.
There you go.
But she sent an email saying, "Hi, Jason. Just came across a fun/interesting idea and wanted to send it your way in case you think it might make an interesting calibration question for future guests.
Ooh.
Please, people, send me calibration questions. That would make my life easier. So if you're thinking, I would send you an email, but I don't know what to send you, send me a calibration question. If you've got some good questions, send them over. It makes life so much easier. This was, what do you think would happen if, insert captain's name here, got stranded in the Delta Quadrant instead of Janeway and the Voyager ship? Followed up with, please note, this is not my own question. I made up. I'm paraphrasing from a YouTube channel called Sci Fanatics. Their video, Wrong Captain, Wrong Quadrant, showed what would have possibly happened if Picard got stranded with the D in the Delta Quadrant instead of Janeway.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then she goes on to mention something about our episode. Anyway, have a good week. Regards, June. So thank you for the email. You're a Cisco fan. Cisco and the Defiant trying to make it back through. Like, what would have happened there?
Well, there probably would have been genocide, very similarly to Janeway did, because Cisco doesn't play.
Yeah.
You thought Janeway didn't play.
Cisco's just nuking planets as he
goes. He's just boom, boom, boom. Okay, what? Boom, you're dead. You know, like there would be no Kazon. Oh, that whole species would probably be wiped out. I think he would have handled Red, and the Year of Hell wouldn't have happened. Oh man, there's so many things that could happen. He wouldn't care about the coffee. Kira would be pissed because she wants that Raktajino. But I think Cisco would be fine. He'd be all right. He can kick habits.
I mean, how do you think it would be though being on the Defiant for that?
That would suck because it's a lot smaller than Voyager. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like literally the center of the saucer section of Voyager. Like that's how tiny that ship is.
Imagine you can't, like, if people are annoying you, you can't just I'm going to go somewhere else on the ship. I'm going to go to the holodeck and hang out there for a day. You're like, no,
there's no holodeck.
There's no holodeck.
Yeah, you're really screwed. Actually, you know, there would be a lot of those joke episodes would not happen. No. I think it would be a lot more serious. And oh man, imagine punching Q in that quadrant instead of on Deep Space Nine.
And Q just sends you back to the start.
Yeah, he goes the opposite.
All the way back to the. You're like, hold on. Wasn't this where the Caretaker's array was?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He'd be stuck a little longer. He'd push it backwards. The Kess stuff, I think he would have kind of nipped in the bud a lot quicker because I don't think he would have tolerance for Tom Paris as much. But but let's say he didn't have Tom Paris. He had the same crew from Deep Space Nine, and Garak was out there being mischievous. He wouldn't. You know,
I love that you've brought Garak along because they were like, maybe we need a Taylor.
Yeah, you know, we're out.
Actually, if anyone could have got stranded out there, it would make sense that it would be the Defiant because Voyager were chasing down the Marquis.
Yes.
So, you know.
So for sure, the Defiant, because I mean, he was really chasing Eddington down. That was one of the best arcs that they had in that. Eddington, aka the lead character from Krull. The Mystic movie that was a total bomb, but I absolutely love. So it's another hill I'll die on.
The thing I like about Eddington as well is like he doesn't look like a bad guy.
No,
like, you know, he's not this alien that looks evil or this sort of suave villainous. He, you know, when you first sort of meet him and he's just a crewman on the ship, it's kind of like it makes sense that he'd be here on our side doing this. And then when he flips the script and he's on the other side, you're like, oh, he seems evil now, and he's, you know,
right.
or not black and white evil because it's actually a big gray area situation. But
right.
But if that feels more real, you know, he's not a mustache twirling bad guy,
right?
which I like, which makes it feel like the real world set in space.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. So The other thing is that the Defiant, I had to look it up really quick. The Defiant has only 4 primary decks.
Yeah.
That's going to feel very claustrophobic for Garrick. That's going to be tough. And having known Andrew Robinson to know that his claustrophobia was real, oh, that would probably be quite difficult for Garrick.
I love that your biggest concern. Well, I guess Garrick fills the Neelix role. He becomes the morale officer, right? He's the one. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he could be morale, but he's such a liar. He could also be like, "Yeah, I'm a cook too," and all the food's just terrible because he's not a cook. You know what I mean? Like he's just been replicating everything. No, I made it myself. You know,
he's replicating everything. Why are our replicator rations getting smaller and smaller and smaller?
Right.
I'm not even eating replicated food, and he's just replicating bad food to make it look like he cooked it.
Yeah,
that's good. What I would like that could be realistic is if they could adjust the Voyager Across the Unknown game, if they could make like add-ons to that are different ships.
Oh, that would
be
be
like,
cool.
oh, now you get to play it again, but you get to go through as Picard on the Enterprise D. I mean, the Enterprise D, like
It'd
easy
be fine
life,
because it's a
easy life
big
going
ass,
back.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's a what is it? Floating city almost, or the Enterprise J. Even that is a floating nation. So those will be fine. It's more of the smaller ships where it gets a little bit more dangerous, like the Cerritos. Imagine the Cerritos going through that.
Yeah. Well, imagine all of Deep Space Nine gets launched there, and then they have to move it like they did when they moved it in front of the wormhole.
Yeah, with the
shutter it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to take 700,000 light years.
Yeah, it's going to make 9 million light years. Oh, crap.
Okay, very good. Joe, it's been lovely having you on. Thank you for sharing your recommendation. We've mentioned a few of them already, but for the final time, where can people find more of you?
Oh, yes. You can always find Jason Roy Gaston, my co-host with the Mo host. He is a living encyclopedia of Star Trek knowledge. You can find us every Friday at 9 p.m. EST in America at the Captain's Quadrant. And that was produced by VHS Jace, who only pops up during the new episode. So if you want some Australian flair, if you will, that little taste of Down Under, come back for Starfleet Academy Season 2 and the remaining episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. If you are more into the ghost side of things and you enjoy movie reviews and just wild, weird stuff on the internet, go check out To Be Seen, the number 2, BESCENE. That is a network of different shows, like a variety channel. We're talking about Ghost, as I mentioned. We're talking about Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which I absolutely loved, and I can't wait for that sequel to come out, as well as some really terrible movies and wild things on the internet, as I said. But you can listen to the Disc Dungeon, which is a music / shedding light on TV shows series that is available for your listening pleasure.
Wow. Okay. People might need to go back and re-listen to this.
Yeah,
there's quite a lot there, but they'll get it eventually. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Thank you everybody for watching this or listening to this, or the lovely reviews that you've all just left, the emails you've sent me, the way you're helping me to get that goal of being number 1 in the Trek recommended podcast
#Trek
search. It's not my fault, guys. It's Google that's auto-correcting for us. So
Google.
Yeah, but as we said, if their monopoly gets broken up, again, maybe I'll find someone.
It'll be better for everybody.
Excellent. As always, I will be back next week with another guest and another Trekommendation.
Ending program.